Hi, we outside and it's story time. This memory keeps coming to me, and I think it's coming to me to share because there's a message in it. So we'll see what the message is. Thank you for joining the channel, by the way. If you're here for a reason. It's on purpose. So grab a snack, kids, and your favorite cup of tea because it's story time. So once upon a time in my life, I was an up-and-coming chef in a city in the South. And I worked downtown, and it wasn't a popular restaurant, but it was very upscale, high-end, fine dining. And we would serve celebrities, lots of celebrities. I remember Erykah Badu at one point, one of the Baldwin brothers. Very high end, very much fine dining. And I was working at this restaurant, and we would serve things like steak tartare and with brioche toast with a balsamic reduction and amuse-bouche, oysters on the half shell. And we had this really cool meat slicer that was retro, and it was repaired, and it was out in the front. So they had a really cool station, beautiful restaurant, very clean, very modern, great food. The head chef, he was young, and he was a little unhinged at times. However, he really took the time to teach me a lot, and I appreciate him for that. I learned so much from working there. So we would prep the food in the kitchen, and during dinner service, my station was actually outside of the kitchen. So I was the person who was doing most of the appetizers. The majority of the appetizers were not served hot. They were prepared, like I said, like steak tartare and things like that. Cheese boards, charcuterie boards, and all the fancy things that all the bougies and the foodies love to eat. Delicious food. I was slicing prosciutto for the fresh board, and I had my whole setup outside the kitchen. So I was front facing with the customers, so the customers could see me. So I basically was the face of the kitchen. I was the person that people saw. And everybody else was in the back. I also helped do desserts and just a bunch of random things. It was fun. Great restaurant. However, being in a downtown city, rats were an issue. I mean, we kept this place spotless. It was clean, it was organized, it was modern, and somehow the rats always found a way in. And it wasn't regular rats, they were really savvy city rats. So one day, before dinner service started, it had just started, maybe we had one table seated, and a rat literally comes through the front door and runs down the front door, down the aisle into the kitchen, and I can't react. I'm just watching this rat. I'm not a fan of rats. They kind of terrify me. They're very smart and cunning, and the fact that they eat anything, I don't know, they kind of freak me out a little bit, and I love animals. This rat brought their ass straight through the front doors. Mind blowing. So one day during service, I'm set up for service. It's a busy Friday night. It's bustling. And my station is bustling as well, because in the trash can next to me, 2 rats are tussling over a piece of fancy ass cheese. And I guess they wanted it really bad. They were in there fighting in the freaking trash can. And I couldn't react. On the inside, I was having a meltdown. There are no words to describe how I was feeling on the inside. But on the outside, nobody knew what was happening in the trash can next to me. I, thank God, had no food to prepare. I scurried over to the other end, furthest away from the trash can. And I went into the kitchen and proceeded to tell them that they were 2 rats fighting over a piece of cheese in my trash can while we were in the middle of service. Yeah, talk about having to keep your composure. Whew. Man, it's hot out here, but thinking about that has got me sweating, and it's kind of funny. Like, I've had my share of meltdowns. The fact that I was able to maintain my composure, yeah, it says a lot. I don't know. I don't know where my mind was. I know where my mind was that I didn't want to affect the reputation of the restaurant, because we were serving great food. We were really clean. I didn't want the guests to freak out. So I didn't want to cause a scene. But a lot of shit was happening behind the scenes. So sometimes, and the message is, sometimes on the surface, things are clean and tidy. But behind the scenes is where the mess is happening, where the action is, where the meltdowns are happening that we don't see. Sometimes the house can look beautiful. The person can look beautiful physically, and they say all the right things. They got all the right words, but there's mad cracks in the foundation. And all the rats are scurrying and fighting over the cheese in the kitchen. We don't even see it happening, because they're maintaining the composure. But it gets to a certain point where the cracks in the foundation and what's happening, no matter how clean the house is and no matter how great the food is, those cracks will tear down that house. So eventually, that restaurant shut down. I quit before it closed. There was many things happening other than the rats. I was the only black person, the only woman, well, the only black person other than the dishwashers. I was the only woman. It was a very toxic environment. I'm not sure how kitchens are now, but then kitchens were extremely toxic workplaces. We would refer to ourselves as the broken toys. So it was a lot of broken people living in their egos. I was one of them. So there's no judgment. Those situations really help to wake me up to a lot of the challenges that I had and a lot of things that I was facing. So I'm grateful for those experiences. I learned so much about food and about myself. But eventually that restaurant shut down. It didn't matter what celebrities went there. It didn't matter how good the food was and how creative it was. It didn't matter how exclusive it was, the location. None of those things mattered. How beautiful they made the decor, how beautiful the tables and all these things were. There were too many cracks in the foundation. And the rats consistently took over. So it's nice to do all the surface things. It's most important to look at the foundation. Seal the cracks. Work on the foundation. Find the holes. Repair them. Fix it. Do the work. And then the exterior and all the beautiful things that people love to look at, including myself, will fall into place. But the most important part will be solid and strong and impenetrable by the rats. There's other messages in that story, and I'm sure that this message is for you, or there's something in that story time that is for you, that will speak directly to you. Thank you for joining the channel, as always. Thank you for this energetic exchange that we have going here. And if you've made it this far, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, take care.